Hi, I'm Christopher Dunnigan. This is HandmadeInVermont.com, and today we're talking about the Hubbardton Forge Ume Vertical Pendant. This is the 13, 16, 10. Lots of other Ume fixtures in the line. There's singular pendants, one pendant on a cord. There's also lots of sconces and larger fixtures too. Check them all out. They're all quite wonderful. This is the 13, 16, 10. Let's get into details about it. Ume actually means a Japanese plum blossom. And this glass looks exactly like that. We'll get into glass in a little bit. Why don't we talk about the height of the fixture body itself, and that's going to be independent of the rods that it's hanging from. So it's 31.3 inches tall, 11.6 inches in diameter. When we talk about overall height, now we're talking about the distance from the bottom of the fixture to the ceiling itself, and that's going to be encompassing all the different parts. So this is going to start off at 33.9, which is coming in just about 34, 78.9 at its longest. How Hubbardton achieves all this, it's going to be using these kits, and you're going to get one kit with this. The kit's going to have 3 pieces of the 12-inch, 1 piece of the 6-inch, and it's going to have a 3-inch piece as well as all the little connectors that put them together. So that said too, if that 33, we're going to call it 34, inches from the ceiling down is just too long for you, we can take care of that too. We actually do custom lengths, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So let's kind of keep going on with this idea. So I want to show you the installations instructions because it's going to help explain a lot of what I'm going to show you in a second. And how we do that is if we're on the page for this on Handmade in Vermont, look over on that side of the screen. Midway down, you're going to see a link. It's going to say click here for installations instructions PDF. So open that up for me. It is going to show you a full parts list. It's going to show you the socket setup, how to put the glass on, very simple. It's also going to show you everything about these rods. And these rods are basically milled, so the ends of them are threaded on the inside, and then the little connectors, like this guy here, take that off, you'll kind of see that it has threading on both ends. So really, it does what it says it is. It's a connector. So you're going to put this on very easily. What you're going to do is take your fixture, you're going to lay it on probably a towel or a blanket, maybe on a table or on a counter, and you're going to set your parts out little by little, and then you're going to just snake your wires through those parts. So you're going to go through a connector, through a pipe, connector to the pipe, and eventually it's going to exit the top of this, which is going to be your canopy on the ceiling. You'll notice on the page for this on Handmade in Vermont and on the installations instruction, there's a little chart. And the little chart has numbers on it, and those basically correspond to which of these combinations are going to get you to the closest to the numbers of the overall heights listed on that chart. So use that and it'll kind of get you where you need to go. Okay, so let's move on from there and talk about the canopy up in the ceiling. It's going to be using a 5-inch round canopy. It's going to go over your 4-inch junction box. That's what you guys have in your ceiling. And it's just regular line voltage, very simple. Now, the top of this has a built-in slope ceiling adjustable knuckle already there. So see how I just bent it just like that? So there's no customization needed to make it like that, to be able to use it with your slope ceiling. Okay, an important part that a lot of people do want to do, we want to circle back to the fact that the overall height on this begins about 34 inches. If you have a 8-foot ceiling, that's just going to be too long for you putting it over a 36-inch counter. And we can take care of that part of it. So we do customs all the time. And if I were to customize this just to bring it up so it's 32 inches over the counter, what I would be doing is building it without the knuckle at the top, so it would not be slope ceiling adaptable, but we could get it to be where it's about 28 inches overall height. So that's that. If you guys need it to be even shorter than that, we can even build this different ways. We can build it where we take the top light and move it down. We could build it where we eliminate that top light and make it even shorter. We do these kind of things all the time, and how you do that is you send me an email and say, I'm looking, or you're looking, at the 13, 16, 10, and you want it in this glass or that glass and this finish, and you need it to be overall height of X from the bottom of the fixture to the ceiling. I'm going to take your email. It's going to go over to Hubbardton Forge, where we'll work with the customs department and kind of figure out what we can do to get you where you need to be. Okay? Now moving on, let's talk about what's going on with glass on this. So it's going to be offered in 3 different types of glass, 2 different shapes and 3 different colors, we'll call it that. So this is actually the Ume Blossom, and you'll notice the top of it has a built-in ring that has threading inside. That's going to go right over your socket. It's going to go right onto the side. This is actually sandblasted on the inside. It's still glossy glass on the outside, so it has a beautiful milkiness to it. I think it's a really, really pretty piece of glass. I gush over this glass on lots of other videos that we have. I like the glass so much. So it's also going to be opaque. You're not going to be able to see through it to see what's going on inside it. Okay, so keep that in mind. The other piece of glass is slightly smaller. It's a hand-blown piece of glass, and it has a little dimple in the side, almost like you took your fingers and went like that. So that's that piece of glass. This is going to be available in two colors. One of them is going to be clear, and the other one's going to be this cool gray. So these are your glass options. Keep that all in mind. Now let's talk about what's going on inside of this. So it's going to be using what's called a G9 socket. G9 sockets take G9 bulbs, very simple. They just have little prongs in the bottom and they just plug right in. Sometimes they're wires and sometimes they're actually little pieces of metal like this. So for the max to go for halogen, you can go up to 60 watts for the halogen in each of these sockets. Okay, it's a dimmable fixture. Halogens dim beautifully. You might want to go in that direction. Some people will. A lot of people will actually want to go with LEDs. And I think part of the glass option that you choose is going to help dictate which LED you get. So keep that in mind, because if you were to use the clear glass, what's holding this, you'll notice there's no threaded ring at the top. What's going to be holding this onto the socket is a retaining cup. And that retaining cup is only so long. So some of these huge LEDs may pop out the top. You might actually want to go for a halogen in that idea. But when you get into this piece of glass, it's hiding everything, and it's a big piece of glass. So this will completely disappear inside. You won't see it, and you can't find an LED bigger than this that's going to be a problem. So, and this is a big LED. This is a 75 watt equivalent that I found on Amazon. So let's move on from there and kind of talk about these LEDs. They come in different types. So LEDs come in cob. It looks like a corn cob. They also come in phosphorus, where it's kind of either a bunch of lines of phosphorus, an orange inside, or this pad inside as well. So like I said, this was a 75 inch, this 75 watt equivalent. This is a 60 watt equivalent. You'll notice you've got a 60 watt max on all of your sockets. That's really for the heat generated by an incandescent bulb, which is your halogen. When you get into LEDs, there's no limit because they don't generate much heat. They barely use much electricity. It's really going to be about the mechanics of them getting into the glass and being able to be seen, I think, at the end of the day. So that kind of takes care of that. I want to circle back to one other thing. So when we talked about those adjustable ranges, there might be some of you who are going to be putting this over a cabinet or over your counter, and you're going to be going up a slope. So up a slope is fine because we talked about that slope ceiling adaptable a minute ago, but you'll notice when you get into the lengths coming down on slopes, what you get when you what you can attain when you're using these pipes that kind of screw together, they may not all be level above the cabinet or the counter. Okay, so in that case, we also do customs where we can do these telescoping rods. Okay, so these telescoping rods are going to be able to have no intermittent play. It's going to be a nice smooth transition, and we would build what you need coming down from the ceiling on that slope, so you'll be able to adjust it during your installation to get them exactly the same level above the floor or above the counter. Okay, again, come back and say to me exactly what you're doing. 13, 16, 10, you're going up a slope. They all have to be different lengths coming down. I would need to know the exact length of each of those, so we kind of figure all that out for you. There you go. Now let's talk about those LEDs one last time. I talk about the color of light coming out of LEDs every day in every video. When you're looking at LEDs, you're going to notice they're going to be offered in different types of Kelvin. So 2700 Kelvin, that's going to be super yellow. That's like a setting sun. It's also going to be offered in daylight. Daylight is a very cold white light, like a hospital waiting room. That's going to be 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 Kelvin on the Kelvin scale. In the middle of all that is warm white, and warm white is what's coming down in my hands. This is this nice, warm, incandescent type of glow that we use in our showroom. This is 3,000 Kelvin. So what I generally will want to use myself in our showroom, and what a lot of people out there will want to use, is going to be a 3,000 Kelvin LED as well. It's also a dimmable fixture, like I said before, so make sure when you're looking at your LEDs and you want to dim it down, it definitely says dimmable. Let's get into finishes now. If you're on the HandmadeInVermont.com website, look over on this side of the screen. Midway down, you're going to see a tab. It's going to say Finishes Help Guide. Click on that for me. There's going to be a video on there of me talking to you guys about the differences in Hubbardton forged finishes and how they can look on different types of forging. I'm going to be talking about a chart a little farther down on the page. You'll see it next to me here. It's going to kind of go over the differences between heavy forging and non-heavy forging, and it'll be talked about in that video. So it's really important that you kind of watch the video, use the chart. You can click on that chart on different things. So you can click on dark smoke and a big page will pop up and show you lots of different things in dark smoke. Click on burnished steel or natural iron, it'll do the same thing. But it's really important that you understand how Hubbardton Forge's finishes are kind of divided into translucent and opaque and how they can look on different fixtures. Our showroom in Vermont has we're up to 400 Hubbardton Forge fixtures spread across 2 floors. We have a what's on display page. It's way up there in those red tabs again, so click on that and you can see what we have to show you. That changes all the time because we're always adding things as they come out. Showroom's open every day except Sunday from 11 to 6. We have an amazing clearance center here too. Clearance center stuff is 75% off MSRP. It's returns, discontinued things, and showroom samples. If you were coming to visit us, bring a good-sized vehicle, something like a big SUV or maybe a small truck or something like that, because you might find something in the clearance center that you want to take home, and it's a lot of fun to go through. 75% off MSRP is an amazing bargain, so you should really take advantage of it if you can. Like I said, we're open every day except Sunday from 11 to 6. I'm here every day except Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can call us at 802-446-2400 during business hours. You can email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. We love to answer emails. When you buy your Hubbardton Forge fixtures from HandmadeInVermont.com, shipping is free to every state except Alaska and Hawaii. There's no tax if we ship out of the state of Vermont, and we're the only dealer with 90-day returns and no restocking fees. No one else even comes close to that. Some larger items are non-returnable. We'll always tell you about that. It'll be in the description thing, that part of the description underneath on the very bottom. So keep an eye out for that. We also offer a rush program. Hubbardton Forge generally takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get product out. They don't stock anything. That's how you're going to get all your finishes, your adjustable ranges to play with, all those things. We can cut that time in half, and it's super inexpensive. If you want to know more, drop a quick email, and I can walk you through the whole thing, okay? So if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Love to see you in our showroom sometime, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.